Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're on a quest to unlock the secrets of stopping power in your golf short game. Specifically, how to add that beautiful controlled spin to your chip shots.
Exactly. We're going to explore the little details that turn those unpredictable wedges into tools of precision around the green.
And our guide for this is Henrik Jentsch, the director of the Golf Academy, 360 Degrees, powered by Sportsbox. Our mission, listener, is really to equip you with the knowledge to make that golf ball stop exactly where you want it, on those crucial short approaches.
Yeah, because when you can make a chip shot bite and, settle right by the hole, it just changes everything. Your confidence, your scoring.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, so let's unpack this. Hendrik really emphasizes where this all begins, and that's with the loft to your club, right? Why is having the right loft so fundamental for generating backspin when you're chipping?
Well, the angle of your club face at the moment you strike the ball, that's, the primary ingredient for backspin. Think of it like a ramp.
A ramp.
Yeah, we're trying to create an upward launch with a clean strike so the ball can kind of grab the club face and generate that stopping action. So the more loft you have, the more upward force, which translates directly into spin.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. More loft, more potential spin. It's almost like the club's designed to help you.
Right.
But Hendrik also points out something crucial that can completely undermine all that lovely loft you've got.
Absolutely. Clean contact is, well, it's non-negotiable. You could have the most lofted wedge ever, but if you don't hit the ball cleanly, you just won't get that spin we're after.
Yeah, he highlights a really common error, doesn't he, that golfers often make, that messes up the clean contact on the loft.
Yes, that instinctive move to push their hands forward.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's a very prevalent habit, and golfers often do it without even realizing. By pushing your hands ahead of the ball at impact, you're essentially delofting the club. You're changing the angle, reducing that upward launch.
So killing the spin.
Exactly. And as a result, the ball tends to skid and roll out far more than you want.
Okay, so how do we fight that urge then to get our hands leading? How do we really take advantage of the loft our wedge offers? What specific advice does Hendrik give us?
He gives us 3 key recommendations. First, it starts with choosing the right tool, the right club.
Okay.
He suggests using a wedge with somewhere between, say, 56 and 60 degrees of loft for these kinds of finesse shots. That range gives you the inherent ability to generate spin.
Right, 56 to 60 degrees. Got it.
Okay.
So club selection is the first piece. What's next on Hendrik's list?
The second critical piece is keeping your hands neutral at the moment of impact. As we just discussed, really resist that urge to have your hands way out in front of the ball.
Okay.
Picture your hands and the club head arriving at the ball at roughly the same time. Neutral.
Neutral hands at impact. Got it. And the third technique for maximizing that loft and spin?
Hendrik recommends slightly opening the club face at address, just a little bit. This subtle adjustment helps you really utilize the designed loft of the wedge and encourages the ball to come off the face with that higher trajectory that, leads to spin.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So recap, the right wedge, neutral hands when you strike the ball, and just a touch of an open face at the start. Sounds like a solid foundation for getting that ball to stop.
Yeah.
Now, let's switch gears a bit and talk about speed. We know it's a major factor when we're hitting longer shots, obviously, but what role does speed play when we're trying to chip with spin?
Well, while you certainly need some energy to impart spin with chipping, it's really much more about control and precision than raw power. It's not about trying to swing hard like you would with a full iron or, a driver.
So it's the quality of the connection, not just the sheer force behind it.
Precisely. You're aiming for a clean, crisp strike, making contact right in the sweet spot, engaging those grooves that are designed to grab the ball.
And Hendrik makes a really interesting point about what we absolutely should not do with our speed during the chip shot, doesn't he? He talks about the danger of decelerating.
Yes, that's a very common mistake, and it's really counterproductive. So many golfers have this tendency to slow their swing down as they get closer to the ball.
Yeah, maybe worried about hitting it too far.
Exactly, often because they're worried about hitting it too far. But decelerating actually disrupts that clean contact we need and dramatically reduces the amount of spin you can generate.
So what's the correct way to think about speed then, as we're coming through a chip shot?
Hendrik emphasizes maintaining a firm and controlled motion through the ball. Think about keeping a consistent rhythm to your swing, and even a slight controlled acceleration as you make contact.
Controlled acceleration.
Yes, this ensures that the club face and the ball interact effectively to create that all-important spin.
Controlled acceleration. That's a great way to visualize it. Okay, we talked loft, we've talked speed. Now, let's dig into the angle of attack. There's this, pretty common belief out there that you need to almost dig the club sharply into the ground to get the ball to spin. Is there any truth to that?
That's a widespread myth, unfortunately. And sadly, it often leads to inconsistent shots. You end up hitting the ground before the ball, hitting it fat, or catching it too thin on the way up.
Ouch.
Yeah. Coming in with too steep of an angle actually works against your ability to make clean contact and use the club's loft effectively.
Okay, so if we shouldn't be digging down steeply, what kind of angle should we be aiming for when we're chipping?
What you really want is a shallower, more sweeping motion. Imagine the club just barely brushing the very top of the grass as it makes contact with the ball, like sweeping the turf.
Brushing the grass?
Yes.
A sweeping motion. That gives a really clear picture. Okay, now how can we actually achieve that shallower swing according to Hendrik?
He offers a few really practical tips. First, he advises focusing on keeping your weight slightly forward at address.
Okay, way forward.
And maintaining that slight forward lean throughout your swing. This encourages you to strike the ball first before the club interacts with the ground. Ball first, then the turf. That's the key sequence here.
Got it. Ball first, turf second. Weight just a little forward. What else helps get that shallower angle?
He also highlights the importance of using the bounce of your wedge, that rounded part on the sole.
Yeah.
It's specifically designed to prevent the club from digging into the turf. So if you keep your weight a little forward and allow the club to glide through the grass, the bounce will do its job and help you avoid those fat shots.
So we should almost trust the club design. Let it help us out.
Exactly. Trust the bounce. And the final piece of the puzzle for achieving that shallower angle, much like with speed, is maintaining a consistent tempo.
Tempo again.
Yes. A smooth and steady motion is far more likely to produce that sweeping action than, say, a jerky or rushed swing.
Smooth and steady seems to be the winning formula for chipping well. Okay, so let's quickly recap the major mistakes we want to steer clear of when we're trying to add spin. What are the big no-nos?
The main culprits, as we've discussed, are 1. Coming into the ball too steep. That makes it hard to use the loft properly.
Right.
2. Delofting the club by getting your hands too far ahead at impact. That kills both your spin and your launch angle.
Kills the launch.
And 3. Slowing down through the shot. Decelerating. That leads to inconsistent contact and just a loss of that crucial spin.
Right. Too steep, hands too forward, and slowing down. Enemies of the spinny chip. So, based on Hendrik's advice, what are the key things we should be focusing on then to fix these issues?
Well, the solutions directly counteract those mistakes, right? Focus on creating a shallower sweeping motion as you approach the ball.
Okay, sweeping.
Keep your hands in a neutral position at the moment of impact, not way ahead.
Neutral hands.
And maintain a smooth, accelerating motion all the way through your chip. Don't slow down.
Awesome. So, if we really concentrate on these elements, selecting the right wedge, maximizing its loft through our hand position, that slightly open face, using a soft but controlled speed with acceleration, and employing that shallower angle of attack,
Yeah.
what kind of difference can we expect to see in our short game?
You should see a really noticeable improvement. Your chip shots will land much more softly, much more predictably.
Softer landings, good.
You'll generate significantly more backspin, which gives you much greater control over how much the ball rolls out after landing.
More control, nice.
And perhaps most importantly, you'll build a lot more confidence when you're around the greens.
And as any golfer knows, confidence around the green is absolutely priceless. It really is.
Exactly. Those tricky little shots that maybe used to feel like a gamble, they can become genuine opportunities to get the ball close and save par.
Yeah.
When you trust that you can control the spin and make the ball stop near the hole, your whole approach to the short game changes. It really does.
So for you listening, the next time you're out on the practice green, really pay attention to this. How consciously choosing the right wedge and being mindful of where your hands are at impact, how that can have a dramatic effect on the spin and stopping power of your chips.
And maybe consider this. What other subtle adjustments might you be able to experiment with in your own technique? Could trying different tempos or making slight changes to your setup unlock even more finesse, more control?
You never know, right? What small tweak might lead to a big breakthrough? And as Hendrik would undoubtedly agree, the real key to discovering what works best for you is getting out there and putting these principles into practice.
That's right. Experiment, feel how these adjustments affect your shots, and hopefully enjoy watching your short game transform.